Welcome back. Now to Around the World. This is a testy period in China-Japan relations, and comments reportedly made by a senior executive of Japan's public broadcaster may have just made it worse. You can imagine how Chinese media reacted to it. Well, first, this report of Guangdong TV. China condemned remarks of an official of Japan's public broadcaster NHK who denied the Nanjing massacre. Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Lei said that such behavior is a barefaced challenge to the international justice and human conscience. Naoki Hyakuta, a member of the NHK Board of Governors, said that the Nanjing massacre never happened. Hong said, and I quote, "The Nanjing massacre is a brutal crime committed by Japanese militarism during their invasion of China, which has irrefutable evidence. The international community has already confirmed this." End quote. Hung added that a handful of people in Japan attempted to blot out, cover up, and distort that part of history. He said such behavior is similar to those of some Japanese leaders who try to alter history. Hung urged Japan to face up to and deeply reflect on the invasion history, handle the problems left over by history with a responsible and proper attitude, and regain the trust of its Asian neighbors and the global community with concrete actions. China said more than 300,000 Chinese people were massacred after Japanese troops occupied the city of Nanjing in December 1937. Now, just to add some context to this report, Mr. Hyakuta made the comments while campaigning for a right-wing candidate in the Tokyo gubernatorial election. And a Japanese government spokesman said Tokyo is aware of Hyakuta's comments, but the spokesman said expressing personal views does not violate Japan's broadcast law. And China's state news agency Xinhua reacted strongly to reports of Hyakuta's comments. With Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's public visit to the Yasukuni Shrine, Japanese scholars have started to distort history. Naoki Hyakuta denied the Nanjing massacre during a campaign speech for General Toshio Tamugami. Tamugami was the former chief of the Japanese Self-Defense Force. He's also anti-Chinese and a right-winger. It's not difficult to see who Naoki Hyakuta is speaking for, Japanese right-wing politicians. We can't ignore Naoki Hyakuta's false claims and allow them to spread throughout the world. We should respond with historical facts. Naoki Hyakuta said that, I quote, "In 1938, Chiang Kai-shek tried to publicize Japan's responsibility for the Nanking massacre, but the nations of the world ignored him. Why? Because it never happened." End quote. Nanjing was the capital of China at the time of the massacre. Some foreign politicians and journalists didn't leave the city, and they saw what happened, and they even recorded the scene with photos and notes. That's proof the Nanjing massacre happened. It should also be noted that the San Francisco Peace Treaty states that the Japanese government has accepted the judgment of the Far East International Military Tribunal, which also means that Japan has accepted the judgment on the Nanjing massacre case and accepted the fact that they killed more than 300,000 people during the massacre. People like Naoki Hyakuta, who try to rewrite history, are fighting a losing battle.